Hello, Malik Harrington here, Family Budget Fisherman. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode on this channel. As you've read in the description and in the thumbnail of this video, I'm giving you my 24 plus hours of on the water, actually going fishing and catching fish with this fantastic rod. Let's get started. Thank you. Thank you very much for tuning in. As you know, I bought this rod. This is the Shimano Expride B. And the model that I purchased so that I could share it with you all is the 7'2" medium heavy. And again, this is the B. I paired it with the Shimano Vanford 3000 reel. I have the Fins Fishing 40G, the really thin 2 pound test braid. And on this one, I don't have a leader. I chose not to do a leader, or I think I started off with a leader and then I cut the leader off. And I'll tell you why in a minute. First of all, let me say this. I've already said this on my Instagram channel. I understand why people like Expride. I do. I really understand why. This rod is a phenomenal rod. And as soon as I get this deal back on there, there we go. Tighten up that a little bit. I understand why people like this rod. This is a great rod. It handles well. I fished with it very well. If you could name the bait, I threw it, with the exception of A-rigs and swim baits that were outside of its range. And by the way, the range for this rod, by the way, they make this text really, really small. The range for this rod is 1/4 to 3/4 of an ounce. And I actually went below 1/4 ounce. As you all know, I'll go down to 1/8 and even 1/16. I did throw crappie jigs with this and caught fish. So this rod, I'll give you, this rod is a fantastic rod to fish with overall. Now, it does have its drawbacks. As great of a rod it is, and as many of you who enjoy Exprides, it has some great things about it, and it's got some not so great things about it. I'm going to tell you, overall, this rod, and I know this is a spinning rod, but the Expride wants to be a reaction bait rod, period. It is not interested in being a finesse rod. No matter how finesse it is, it wants to be. It's as if there's a spirit in these rods that says, please, please, please categorize me as a reaction bait rod only. Now, I'm speaking for the spinning rod. I can't even imagine what those of you who purchase bait cast rods are feeling emotionally about the rod as you put it in your hand. These are for sure reaction bait rods, okay? Now, conversely, when it comes to finesse applications, even throwing finesse worms, I threw all kinds of reaction baits, and spinner baits, chatter baits, crank baits, both the square bills, medium divers. I didn't throw any deep divers because where I fished, it doesn't get below 10. Well, I think that area is 12 feet, so I didn't get below 12 feet. But I threw bass jigs, I threw swim jigs, I threw all kinds. Like I said, you name the reaction bait. I did the power finesse, and that worked out real good with the power tubes that were 1/2 ounce, or or I threw Texas rigs and I threw them at half ounce. I even did some pitching and flipping in cover. Okay. And this rod was super light. I have to admit, I was a little bit nervous because this handle, although this is one rod piece, it felt to me as if it was a separate piece. And I kept saying to myself, I'm going to break this thing off because it's so thin. But obviously I didn't. I had a lot of fun with this. Never got any rod fatigue on it. I enjoyed the rod. Whenever, however, I wanted to throw a finesse application, I did put this rod down and I did pick up, if I can find it real quick, I did pick up my Zodius rod. And it's not until you pick up a Zodius rod that you realize that the Zodius rod is more of a finesse bait rod than the Expride rod. So here is your Zodius and here is your Expride. And you realize real quickly that there is a difference between the two rods. This rod handled excellently on the water when it came to throwing my crankbaits. And I have to admit, I had a favorite. I don't have it over there right now. Well, it's over there somewhere. I'm in the middle of moving. As some of you know, I bought a house. We literally closed escrow just several hours before I'm producing this video. So my garage is a mess. My house is a mess where I live now. And we're starting tomorrow. We have a little bit of cleanup to do at the new house, but we're starting already to move items there. So things are in different places than they would normally be. Normally I could just reach out and grab things, but they're not. The reason why I could grab the rods is because the rods are all over the place and I can just grab them there. So having said that, getting back to the point, the X-Pride is a dream to fish with if you're going to throw, like I said, reaction baits. Just stick with the reaction baits, your lipless crankbaits, your spoons and your jigs. I would say I had my most fun among the reaction baits, honestly and true. I had my most fun throwing the crankbaits, the medium diving crankbaits, not as much the square bills, the shallower diving crankbaits. But the medium diving crankbaits, I think I had my most fun with this rod. Secondarily was the chatterbait. And it was kind of a surprise because normally my favorite is to throw a spinnerbait and have more fun with the spinnerbait than the chatterbait. But I threw a chatterbait and I kept throwing that chatterbait and kept throwing that chatterbait. I caught fish on the swim bait, of course. I had to bump it up into a half ounce in order to get the same kind of emotional connection, as it were, to this rod than I did with the 3/8 and the 1/8 in the quarter ounce for the swim jigs and for the chatterbaits. So I stuck around 3/8 for the chatterbaits. I went to a half for the swim bait. And like I said, I enjoyed myself with this rod. Now, like I said, the only downside is the finesse side. I think that this rod was designed for individuals whose primary fishing technique is the reaction side, period. Even for spinning rods. It's more power finesse or reaction bait. This is a very muscular rod from that position, from that standpoint, and it wants to do those things. I can't say that enough. So I love the positioning, where the rod is. I do wish this though, and it's just me. I do wish, if you take a look at the Zodius rod, and I want you to notice that the butt is a little bit wider there. I do wish that it was a little bit wider, because even on the Adrena, if I could grab the Adrena real quick. Oh, here it is. So even on the Adrena, the rod handle is a little thicker. I don't know. Oh, this was there we go. So the rod handle, the butt rather, is a little bit thicker. If I can just get it right there. If you notice there, it's a little bit thicker there. And, you know, one is, it's shaped more like the Adrena than it is the Zodius. So I think that they could have been a little bit more forgiving on the thickness of that rod handle on the butt section here. But having said that, this rod will do very well in an arsenal. In another video, I'm going to compare the Shimano Adrena, the Shimano Jackal Poison Adrena, that's its full name, the Shimano Expride B, and the Shimano Zodius, the current version. And I'm going to answer a question that I'm asking myself. Do I need all three rods? If I'm going to choose, what would I choose and how would I choose it? Do I choose this one rod overall? Do I choose two of the three? Or do I really need all three rods? Okay, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, if you would like to purchase this rod, I can tell you right now, your best deal is probably going to be at Omnia. As I'm recording this, Tackle Warehouse has some discounts, but I don't think they apply. If you could get with Omnia's rewards program and then apply some of the credits that you accrue in their rewards program, you could get this rod right here. I don't think any of the discount offers apply to Shimano products for Omnia or just about any other rod manufacturer for that matter. But it is worth it to get it at the best deal that you can. Yes, you're looking right now at almost a $600 combination here, but you can get a good deal on it if this is something that you're looking for. As you remember in a previous video, I said every fisherman who is a very serious fisherman needs at least one moderate to very expensive combo. You need at least one. And this would be a good one to have. So that said, stay tuned for that next episode of me comparing these Shimano rods. Remember, these three rods are the top of the line for Shimano rods. When you get to the NRX, the GCX, and the Conquest, those are G Loomis. Those are not Shimano. Now, the G Loomis is sort of a combination between Shimano and G Loomis, but those are essentially G Loomis rods, all in the same company of Shimano. Shimano owns G Loomis, but those rods are a different set of rods. In the Shimano rods, specifically rods, the number one or top of the line of the Shimano is the Poison Adrena, the Shimano Jackal Poison Adrena. Then it is the Shimano Expride and the Shimano Zodius. So just so that you know about that. So at any rate, once again, thank you for tuning into this episode. Thank you for enduring me going a little bit offline, a little bit off the path a little bit to share with you about what's actually happening with me. This is actually my last video that I'm going to produce. No, actually it's not. I got one more to do. It's second to the last video that I'm going to be producing in this address, in this garage. The next one will be my last video, and then we will be moving everything over to the new house, and there'll be a new studio and the whole bit. So thank you for tuning in. And once again, as I've always said to you, please don't break your family's budget trying to buy any of this equipment. It's not worth it. I don't care how valuable it is. It's not worth it. But by every ethical means and every legal means, get out there and break your personal best. I'll see you in the next video. Have a blessed one. Take care.